Hello everyone, welcome to another unboxing from me, and today I shall be taking a closer look at another product from Dspiae, and this time I shall go for the magnetic paint mixer with the code MS-01LE. Let's first begin by opening the packaging, and inside we shall find one magnetic paint mixer, one micro USB cable, a non-slip mat, and 20 rods. We shall take a closer look at what the rods exactly do once we open it up. Let's go. And there it is, packaging free. Taking a closer look at the box from outside, on the bottom we can see a description of what exactly happens, how the principle of mixing the paint for you works. Alright, it works by magnetic, as we can see from the directions right now, and the concept is to put your paint bottle on top of the mixer, drop in a rod inside the paint, close again the bottle and let it mix the paint for you. Now, okay, inside we find two boxes, nothing more. One is a thank you containing the paint mixer, and the other one are the accessories that are included: USB cable and 20 steering rods. And so let's begin by opening the thank you. There we go. And at the bottom I can see some more instructions where you have all the directions. So you pour the paint, pour any thinner or whatever is necessary, put the mixing rod inside the bottle, put the bottle onto the mixing cradle and switch it on so that it can start mixing. Alright, so from what I can see, this one needs to be attached on top of the paint stirrer, and it is non-slip, as you can see, to keep the bottle on top. And then we have these which need to be attached at the bottom of the paint mixer over there. Now let's open the other box, and we can see the simple instructions of attaching the micro USB cable over here. As you can see, there's some touch switch, which is this hole right here, and you unplug it to a USB source. So there we go, micro USB cable, and also 20 magnetic paint stirrers. And as you can see, the stirrers attach with a lot of force to the surface of the stirrer, and that is how exactly it works. Let's begin by attaching what is necessary and then also give it a try. There we go, and they are gentle enough to give you an extra one in case one of them. Let's attach the USB cable. So I went offline and did some tests, some paint mixing tests before starting to talk about this, the actual work that this paint mixer does. And I started off with one of these. This is decanted gloss black. The bottle is also made by the same company, Dspiae, it's written over here. And I found out that this works perfectly. It already has a steerer inserted inside, and as you can see, once you start getting it closer to the base, the steerer gets pulled to the base. Okay, as you can see, it even lifts the steerer up, the magnetic effect. Place it in the center. That is why this part is raised up, because the bottles from the bottom, they aren't flat. Okay, they have that part of a concave, so that inserts into that part, and once you switch it on, there we go. As can be seen. I hope it can be seen, but the paint is perfectly being turned around, and the decanted paint is getting mixed. And that sound that you are hearing is actually this ball bearing, this plastic ball bearing right there, because it is still there. And with the turning of the rod, like this one, okay, with the turning of it, that ball is flying all over the bottom of the jar. So it will be a better idea to remove that bottle right away before filling it up, or even before throwing this steering rod inside. Another thing that came to mind is when it comes to mix 2K clear, I always use these jars like this, where I insert the 2K hardener and thinner and start mixing myself. And I thought about giving this a test to see if you need to cover it. Once you turn it on and the vortex starts taking effect, I noticed that paint did splash out, so it's better if this is covered. So the second test I did was to obviously insert the steerer, and then I used a piece of masking tape to simply cover the top of the jar like this, straight onto the base. As you can see, the steerer, turn it on, there we go. You can see that the paint is actually getting mixed. The force of the vortex is quite high, so especially if there is more paint inside the jar, it will definitely splash out of the jar, so it's better to keep it covered and let it do its job, like it's doing right now. Okay, so there we go. My 2K clear is mixed. I simply remove. As you can see, the masking tape is fully wet with the 2K clear, so it works. It did prevent paint from getting out of the jar and onto the base, and that is ready to start working with. Right here I have a brand new Tamiya X11, and inside I have inserted the metal rod already, and let's see what it does once it starts turning. Okay, it is turning, and then it stopped. Right there. So it starts turning for the first couple of seconds, and then it stops. It did this thing for every test I performed. Starts turning and then stops. I'm guessing that it is because of the paint not being thin enough. As I've said, this is just Tamiya out of the jar. It is not airbrush ready. As you can see, it is a bit thick, too thick for the airbrush. So I'm guessing that this paint is a little bit too thick for the magnetic motion to keep in turn. It does begin to turn, however, it stops. And that's what I'm thinking, that it is because of the paint being a little bit too thick. Now, another different product, white primer from Firescale, different glass jar. Okay, let's insert the rod, because it doesn't have a rod. And what I would like to say is that this particular jar had these two metal bearings. I have removed them already because these metal bearings will hinder the rotating process. So I removed them. I will show you how an easy way to remove the metal bearings like these ones. So instead I will insert a steering rod, close the bottle, and there we go. From the side I can see the paint turning around, but let's open and have a closer look. and let me get it closer. Nice. No problem at all. Turning perfectly. Alright. White primer, that is airbrush ready in a glass jar, standard fire scale, and it is turning perfectly well to mix the paint. Now, okay, so it is important to remove the ball bearings before actually starting to mix those type of paints. And let me show you what will happen if you don't actually remove. Over here I have 0 paints, bronze paint, once again brand new, very new paint. So it has both the ball bearing and the mixing rod. Let's see what happens. As you can see, it is just slightly, the paint is just slightly moving around, and that is because the ball bearing is touching with the steering rod once it is trying to turn, but it is stopping it from turning as it should be. So we need to remove the metal ball bearing. And how do I do it? Very simple, using a magnet. This is a magnet, alright? It has a metal rod, a metal ball bearing, so it will be attracted to the rod. And what I do, okay, is begin from the bottom, keep moving to the side, woo, and there it is, the ball bearing, the standard ball bearing, together with the steering rod. So I will take the steering rod, put it back, oops, put it back, and remove the metal standard ball bearing from 0 paints. There we go. Now let's try it again with the steering rod without a ball bearing. Nice. That's what I call a proper mixing sequence, vortex, right there. Let me clean it a little bit. So that is mixed. I can go ahead and airbrush and leave the steering rod inside the bottle for future use. That is all from me. As a recap, these bottles work perfectly. Standard paint, which is not airbrush ready, will be a little bit problematic to turn around because of the thickness, while airbrush ready paints will be great to mix and use with this mixing stirrer straight out of their original glass bottles. However, you will need to remove their original metal ball bearings because they will hinder the turning effect of the mixing stand. I hope that you find this video useful, especially if you were considering buying this paint mixing stand. Let me know in the comments below. Even if you have further questions, feel free to ask. I will do my best to answer. Subscribe, that will be very helpful. Feel free to leave a thumbs up, that will be very appreciated. And I will see you all in my next video.